You know that feeling when you've finally built something you're proud of, only for someone to come along and tear it down with one entitled sentence? That's exactly what happened to me. After years of saving, I bought a small, peaceful lakefront property. My dream escape from city noise. The view was perfect. The air smelled like pine and fresh water. And for once, life felt calm. I built a simple wooden fence along the edge. Not to block anyone's view, but just to keep my dog safe and give myself a bit of privacy. But peace doesn't last long when your neighbor's name is Karen. It started one sunny morning when I was sipping coffee on my deck. Karen stormed over in her oversized sun hat and designer sunglasses, her voice already carrying across the water. "Excuse me," she barked. "Your fence is ruining the lake view for everyone." I blinked, thinking she was joking. The everyone she was talking about was just her. Her house sat next to mine, and no one else had a direct line of sight to my fence. I told her politely that it was my property and my right to have it. Karen's expression hardened. "We'll see about that," she said, marching back to her house like a general returning to battle plans. That was the moment I should have known. This wasn't over. The next week, I got a letter from the HOA claiming that my fence violated community aesthetic standards. But the funny thing? Our HOA had no rules about fences. I checked the bylaws myself. Karen had gone behind my back, filed a complaint, and even gathered fake signatures from neighbors who didn't exist. That's when I decided, if she wanted a fight, she'd get one. So I got to work designing something that would really ruin her view. A towering, beautifully crafted privacy wall, made of cedar and glass, with climbing ivy and modern lighting. It wouldn't just be a fence, it would be a statement. Every nail I drove in was an act of rebellion. Every board, a reminder that my peace wasn't hers to take. When I was done, the wall stood proud, a masterpiece of privacy and pettiness combined. The day she saw it for the first time, her reaction was priceless. The morning after I finished the wall, I woke up to the sound of angry knocking. Not the usual neighborly kind. This was the kind that said, "Open up before I explode." I opened the door and there she was, Karen, clutching a clipboard like it was a sword, her sunglasses reflecting the wall behind me. Her lips were pursed tight enough to crush a lemon. "I hope you're proud of yourself," she hissed. "You've completely destroyed the natural beauty of this lake. I've already reported you to the HOA and the county." I leaned on the doorframe, sipping my coffee with a smile. "Good morning to you too, Karen. I built it within the property line. It's fully legal." She glared. "We'll see about that." That's when I noticed the car parked behind her, a white SUV with the HOA logo. Out stepped Mr. Thompson, the HOA president. He looked exhausted already, probably because he'd dealt with Karen before. "Sir," he began, rubbing his temples, "we've received multiple complaints about a view obstruction. Would you mind if I take a look?" I shrugged. "Go ahead." We walked around to the lakeside, and there it was, my pride and joy. The cedar wall gleamed under the morning sun, vines already starting to curl up its sides. The reflection of the water shimmered across the wood. It was honestly beautiful. Thompson stared at it for a long moment, then turned to Karen. "Ma'am, this wall meets all HOA guidelines. There's no violation here." Karen's face turned a shade of red I didn't think was humanly possible. "You can't be serious! It's a wall!" "It ruins my property value." Thompson sighed. "Property values are subjective, ma'am." She stormed off, muttering something about calling the city. Over the next few days, I caught her taking pictures from every possible angle, zooming in, stepping onto my lawn, even using a drone once. Every time I'd wave, she'd scowl and retreat like a cat caught in the rain. But I knew it wasn't over. Karen wasn't the kind of person who gives up when she's wrong. She doubles down. A week later, a letter arrived from the county inspector's office. Apparently there was now a community petition, demanding that my wall be torn down for obstructing shared environmental views. Karen had taken the fight beyond the HOA. She was going official. And that's when I decided, if she wanted to play legal games, I'd play better. The county inspector arrived on a Tuesday morning, clipboard in hand, hard hat, and that just doing my job look that told me he'd rather be anywhere else. Behind him, like a shadow that refused to disappear, was Karen. She stood there with her arms crossed, grinning like she'd already won. "Mr. Daniels?" the inspector asked. "We received a complaint regarding a structure that allegedly violates county shoreline regulations." I gestured toward the wall. "That's the one. Built entirely within my property line, below height restrictions, and with proper drainage. I even got a permit for the original fence before replacing it." Karen jumped in before he could respond. "He's lying. That monstrosity blocks everyone's view of the lake." "It's a public eyesore!" The inspector raised an eyebrow. "Everyone's view? Are there other complaints?" Karen hesitated. "Well, no, but that's not the point. It's about the principle. The inspector jotted a few notes and began his measurements. I stood back, arms crossed, while Karen followed him like an overzealous lawyer. Every time he wrote something, she craned her neck to see. Every time he took a photo, she smiled like it was her moment of victory. After about 20 minutes, he finished, sighed, and said, "Ma'am, sir, this wall is fully compliant. No violations here." Karen's jaw dropped. "That can't be right. Check again." "I have," he replied calmly. "It's within regulations." The silence that followed was glorious. Even the lake seemed to hold its breath. Then she snapped, "This isn't over. I'll take it to the county board. I'll get this whole thing demolished if it's the last thing I do." The inspector turned to me with a sympathetic smile. "Good luck, sir. You might need it." And with that, he left. Over the next week, Karen went into full crusader mode. She printed flyers, started a Save the Lakeview Facebook group, and even tried to rally other neighbors, most of whom just ignored her. But one thing about Karen, she thrives on attention. The fewer people cared, the louder she got. Then something unexpected happened. Local news picked up her rant. They showed up one morning to cover a neighborhood dispute about lake property rights. Karen thought it was her big moment. She stood there ready to play victim, until the cameras turned to me. I calmly explained how I built the wall legally, how she'd harassed me for weeks, and how all I wanted was peace. The comments section on the news video? Brutal. People roasted her. And that's when everything started turning in my favor. After that news segment aired, everything changed. Karen thought she'd rally the whole neighborhood to her side. But instead, she became the villain of the lake. Neighbors who'd once waved politely started avoiding her. Someone even taped a printout of the news headline, "Local woman complains about legal wall, gets schooled on property rights," to her mailbox. She ripped it down in seconds, but I think everyone got the message. For a while, she stayed quiet. I thought maybe she'd finally accepted defeat. But Karen wasn't the type to fade away gracefully. A few weeks later, I noticed movement on her property. Construction trucks, lumber, workers. She was building something on her side of the lake. Curiosity got the better of me, so I watched. Day after day, a new structure began to rise. When it was finished, I had to laugh. Karen had built a community gazebo, complete with a fake plaque claiming it was open to all lake residents. Except, it was smack in the middle of her private lot, fenced off and locked. She even set up a little camera pointing at my wall, like she was still trying to prove something. But here's where the story takes a turn. One stormy night, strong winds rolled in from the north. Thunder, rain, the whole deal. By morning, half her gazebo had collapsed into the lake. Poles snapped, roof half submerged. My wall, still standing tall, barely a scratch. When I walked outside to check the damage, Karen was there, drenched, furious, screaming into her phone about insurance and permits. The irony? Turns out her structure violated shoreline codes. The county fined her thousands for unpermitted construction. That was the moment she finally broke. The crusade ended not with a bang, but with soggy lumber floating in the water. A few months later, her house went up for sale. She moved away quietly, leaving behind nothing but bad memories and a broken gazebo. As for me, I decided to give the story a better ending. I turned my wall into something beautiful. I added flower boxes, string lights, and a hand-painted sign that read, "Peace is priceless." Now when I sit by the lake, I don't see an eyesore. I see a reminder. A reminder that sometimes, standing your ground isn't about anger or revenge. It's about protecting your peace from the people who can't stand to see you happy. Because in the end, my wall didn't just block her view. It built mine. If you enjoyed watching Karen's plan backfire, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more crazy real-life stories, and drop a comment below. Tell me what you would have done if your neighbor tried to ruin your peace.